Okay, hey Billy. It's finally evaluation day, so here we are. Here's your watch. First, let's talk about the numbers while I have them. Your watch was not happy about wanting to start up running, and the numbers are very low, but they're relatively steady. You have a little bit of beat error, which is normal. It's losing all kinds of time because it's running so weakly, but the biggest thing is that it's really running really weakly. It's just it's not getting a lot of power out of the mainspring. That power is getting sucked up in a dirty train, but at least it is running. But it desperately needs help. The watch movement had a lot of miles on it. A lot of miles. A lot of miles. The movement is hazy. Hazy. It just kind of looks like instead of looking like bright silver, it's got this sort of orangey, tanny brown look to it, and that's metal dust, that's brass, that's dust that's all over the surface of the movement. The brass is mostly coming from your lower mainspring arbor port. If you watch the head of this screw, let's get this right. Watch the head of this screw right here. Do you see how much that's moving? See the shine moving on it? The lower end of this screw is in the top of the mainspring arbor, which is the axle the mainspring barrel turns on. The lower end of that stainless steel arbor sits in the brass main plate in just a hole. And as it wears, it grinds that hole sideways, grinds out the brass, and yours is really worn, really floppy. So that's going to have to be redone. Uh, let's look at your sealing surfaces. Oh, your sealing surfaces are fine. Yeah, it's fine. Sealing surfaces are okay. So that's perfectly cool. The movement is definitely running, but it is worn and it is dirty. There are no servicing marks inside the case back. There's that's just surface stuff. There's no pitting inside the case back. That's fine. Let's put this on here, and then we can talk about the things that are fun. Okay, so this is your 6309. Now, the cool thing about this, I haven't actually seen one of this variant for a really long time. This is the rarest of all the 6309 dial variants. Doesn't really mean a whole lot to a whole lot of people, but the dial text is only this tiny little chunk right here. It just says 6309 704L, and that's it. It's a shallow window dial. Some people call these dials transitional dials. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I just know that it's very rare to see these. They don't show up very often at all. The dial is original. It is in good shape. Water definitely got in. I can see some salt crystals got pulled out of the loom because this loom is salt based, but I can clean that up really easily. That's not a real big problem. We have your old handset. We can definitely see that that's water damaged. With this watch, I would suggest a new old stock handset because I have them. I only have a few, but I do have them because this handset is aftermarket and this sweep hand is damaged. It's an expensive investment, but for a watch like this, it might be worth it. The case has been polished, but it's not a bad job. The case lines themselves are relatively sharp. What's nice too, it's interesting too, is that this is the original insert, and it's the shiny insert, not the matte pebbled insert. It's the shiny insert, which tells me this is something that was made by Sua. I'm sorry, not by Sua. It's a Danny insert because Danny would help out sometimes when Sua was having problems. That is a Danny insert. It has sort of a slightly bluish cast. I wonder if maybe these short textiles were made by Danny for Sua. I wonder. Wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be interesting if that were the case? Because of course there is no Sua symbol here. There's no Sua symbol there. I've never thought about that. I wonder if that's the case. Any case, it's going to need service for sure. It's going to need a case rebuild. This crystal is wrong. This bevel here is supposed to be frosted, and that one is not, so that's not a correct crystal. It needs rebuild. It needs a lower mainspring arbor port. It needs a case rebuild with seals. It needs a correct crystal. I wouldn't leave that crystal in there. And it needs I would put a new old stock handset in it. I would put a new old stock handset in it. But beyond that, I think you got a good shot at a good watch. The case back is nice. Very nice. Yeah, transition dial. can't be a transition dial. Why do people call it transition dial? This watch was made in 1985. The transition was over for 4 years by that point. So much to know about Seiko. So many mysteries. Okay, thank you.